6 points in game sevens. And, oh, by the way, did I mention LeBron James? So now they go head-to-head against each other. I mean, this is the dream matchup that we were not certain we would ever get a chance to see again after they met in 4 consecutive NBA Finals. And so with Monica McNutt and Tim Legler here, and, you know, Tim, you guys played. I mean, my role in all of this is to try and put things in perspective, particularly historical perspective, which is what I like so much. How do we start to describe what exactly is at stake here as Steph and LeBron go head-to-head over the next 2 weeks at this stage of their careers?
Yeah, look, to me, when you look at the two guys, right, and you say, well, who has the most to add by another run, you know, winning this series, potentially even maybe one of these teams wins a championship this year. Who has the most to add to their legacy? I think it's Steph Curry for this regard. I think, look, first of all, they're both cemented. But I think LeBron James, on just about everybody's list, when you ask them to rank players historically, no one's going to have him, for the most part, lower than 2, right? It's 2. And a lot of people feel like no matter what he does, he's not going to catch Jordan for 1. So he's almost like locked into this place historically. Steph Curry and Greeny, you mentioned this a lot in the last segment we did. The amount of ground that he has covered in the last couple of years, climbing that list, the rungs on the ladder, to not just look at him in a certain way or paint him a certain way as a player, but start to regard his historical greatness as a player overall and his ability to lead teams to championships. It's been completely redone over the last 2 seasons. And so he, for me, still has an opportunity to go grab some stuff, climb some more rungs on that ladder, and make it undisputed. So when the topic comes up, everybody will universally agree he's a top 10 player of all time. And maybe some people even put him, higher than that, guaranteed. So I think for me, Curry has more still to grab. And that's what's so interesting this late in his career. I think LeBron is pretty locked into where we are going to view him as time goes on, and one day, 20 years from now, when he's retired, probably even.
Monica, I'm trying to read the look on your face, and I can't decide what it is. What are you struggling with?
First of all, that's a great question, Greeny. I like Legs' case, but I actually was kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, only because I think in terms of runway and opportunity, there's still more. We've seen, right? Both of these players are terrific at plus 35 in their careers, but I think there's more runway for Steph than there is for LeBron. And so I think as we have the conversation where so many lean on the ring culture, I think I'd actually go, this stands to add a little bit more to LeBron's legacy if he can get another one. And I just think that the sunset is in the peer view on LeBron in a way that I don't think it is for Steph, as we continue to see Steph elevating his game. And not that LeBron isn't, but I just think there's more runway left for Steph.
That's fair. Let me change the question. Which of these teams would have a better chance in your mind of winning the title this year if they come out of the next 2 weeks? Which is to say, it's a reasonably self-evident question. I'm not sure why I feel the need to quantify it. Which of these 2 teams, in your opinion, if they beat the other, has the better chance of going on and cutting down the nets, if you will, in June?
I think it's probably still the Warriors. The things that we pointed out in the first hour and the second hour of the show in terms of slowing this Warriors offense are going to be a conundrum no matter who they play, right? I'm thinking of the teams that are left, who poses the potential best matchup, right? You almost swing the pendulum from defending the Warriors to who can outscore the Warriors potentially, and that, just a bit based on depth in terms of what we've seen in this Western Conference so far, it looks like the Nuggets may have the depth to be able to keep up. Then you go to the East. Is it potentially a rematch of Boston should they be the team that comes out of the Western Conference, right? I think it's still the Warriors in terms of defending them.
Who do you think, Legs? Which of these 2 teams would you give the better shot of going the distance?
I'd say Golden State, because I just think they're so unique in what you have to come with to prepare to play them. And the fact that now they've survived this series, right? Now they move on each and every game. They're going to continue to find that rhythm that's so hard to stop. And they're just going to gain more and more confidence and start to believe that, hey, maybe this is another year in which we can go all the way. I think they probably even had doubts at one point this season. But you got to remember that, Peyton hasn't been back with them that long. Wiggins missed all that time. He's going to continue to get better and find his legs as this goes on. Their depth is a little bit bit of a concern for me, but it's the unique way in which they play that the further they advance, the more confident that they are they've got an answer for anything you throw at them. Traditional in how they're going to approach their offense. The Warriors are not at all. They're a one-off in the way that they play, and that's why I'd say Golden State, to me, has a better chance to make that run.
For what it's worth, the Warriors' big Achilles heel has been their play on the road, and in this series, essentially with their backs against the wall, they won 2 road games, Game 5 and Game 7. They realistically, they needed to win both of those games, and they did it in both cases. So just put very quickly, put the picks up there, Allie, if you could, or Cindy, put the picks up there for us, and let the record show. I picked the Lakers because Jay Will, who was here earlier, also was picking Golden State, and in my experience, when everyone goes one way, I go the other. So Greeny's going oppo with the Lakers. Let's see what winds up happening. Meanwhile, the other game yesterday, Monica, you were there at the Garden. Knicks and Heat. Jimmy Butler was there, but forget about that. Aaron Rodgers was there.
Goodness gracious.
That was very exciting. All right, midway through the third, Kevin Love, how about this throw? Aaron Rodgers was impressed.
Our team in our sports and information group said that Kevin Love threw 2 65-foot passes in this ballgame.
And that was Jimmy Butler there. He had 25 and 11. Jalen Brunson didn't make a 3 on the day. He did knock down that little deuce there. He had 25 points on the day. In the meantime, with the Heat up 3 in the fourth quarter, this is the moment, Monica, that could wind up deciding everything.
Yeah, Josh Hart, a terrific defender. He and Jimmy Butler just kind of land in the same spot, except Josh lands under Jimmy's foot. It's a twisted ankle. Or sprained ankle, as Spo called it, post-game. Now, Jimmy stayed on the ground for a bit. He did come back in the game and take the free throws and actually remained in the ballgame, to my surprise.
Yeah, he told Cassidy after the game it feels like a turned ankle, and his teammates picked him up. With Jimmy out there basically as a decoy, Gabe Vincent knocked down that 3. He had 20. Bam Adebayo with a little hook. He had 16, and Kyle Lowry dumped in 18 off the bench.
18 points, 4 blocks, air quotes around blocks, Greeny, 1 steal. Like, this was a vintage-type performance from Kyle Lowry. And down the stretch of the ballgame, the veterans for the Heat just outsmarted the Knicks.
You know, I would have felt from a Knicks standpoint, look, they played this game without Julius Randle. We don't know what we're going to get from him in this series, but the expectation is he will be back, right? Yes. He's going to come back and play. Jimmy Butler, to me, is everything. I mean, I know that they're playing without Tyler Hero, and I know that they're playing without Victor Oladipo, and both of those guys are important contributors to this Miami team. But without Jimmy, this is just my opinion, and I'll just present it to you. Without Jimmy Butler somewhere near his best, I don't think they have any chance at all. What do you think, Legs?
Well, listen, I think you'd have to start to look at, what we're talking about here in terms of production. Now, Jimmy Butler is a guy that's going to be relegated to, 12 to 15 points a game, kind of looking like he's hobbling around on one foot and not having the impact defensively either. You're right. I don't think they can win this series if that's the case. Jimmy Butler can go out there and, average 20 and be 90% of what he is defensively. They've still got a great shot because this big X factor that is Julius Randle is a huge thing hanging over this series. I don't think the Knicks are going to have enough offense if Julius Randle is not at some point a major contributor in this series. We've got to see it. He's expected to play. He's got to be very good, not just be on the floor. So there's just too many things we don't know going forward. But Jimmy Butler, we're going to have to see to what extent is he limited. And then you'll have a much better answer once you see him. Probably game 3, you'll have a better idea.
Right, and that brings up the question you see on your screen, which is a good one. I was watching in the postgame, Jalen Rose said they should just send him down to Miami now. They've already stolen home court advantage in this series. Game 2 is tomorrow night here in New York. Game 3 is not till Saturday, so you could buy him a ton of rest. Do you think they should just rest him for Game 2?
That seems smart, but also I think Jimmy Butler is cut from a different cloth. And if he can go, I imagine that he probably would go. But it seems very smart to rest him.
Yeah, I think so, too.